The Amazing Spider-Man #1 has released on an incredible week of comics, and I'm sure we all have thoughts about, well, what a great week it was, I think. And I'm excited to hear what everybody has to say. We've got a full house on deck. We've got Cale,
What's up, hot dogs?
Marco,
Hacho Chacho.
Tyler,
Good evening, pals. Hi.
and I'm Sean. Thank you for being here, whether you are live or in the future. We've got
Out of
six of this week's biggest releases on deck today to talk about. We've got The Amazing Spider-Man #1, as I said.
big
The
old one.
Ultimates.
Dang.
Yes. The Ultimates what is this? Number 11.
1T1. Yeah.
Yeah, number one.
Yes. We've got Uncanny X-Men #13. You guys wanted it to stay on the show, and so stay on the show it did. Uh,
Thanks.
Absolute Batman #7. Dark Patterns #5, and the poll winner this week, Green Lantern Corps #3. So we've got some pretty good books on tap, and let's waste no time. Let's get into it. Let's talk about Amazing Spider-Man #1. This is written by Joe Kelly. We've got Pepe Larraz on the art. There's also some John Romita art as well. Letters by Joe Caramagna, colors by Marcio Menez and Mark DeGracia, of course, and inks over the Romita art by Scott Hanna. So this is a pretty fresh jumping on point that feels like it could take place not exactly at any time in Spider-Man's history, but just about. Um, he begins where a lot of Peter stories start. He's looking for work. He's looking for, to get back on his feet. But a lot of the stuff that has happened to him or with him over the last few years catching up. People don't want to hire him. Luckily, a friend from middle school steps in and offers him a job. And, I think this issue does a lot of just kind of reorienting us with what Peter's life is like, which is what you would typically expect Peter's life to be like. Kale, what'd you think about this first entry into this volume of Spider-Man?
I think this is a perfectly serviceable entry into Spider-Man. Uh, you know, Peter is an adult. He's down on his luck. Uh, he every opportunity he gets ruined because he has to be Spider-Man, and he is faced with a crazy dilemma as Spider-Man, and a villain is pulling the strings from the outside. Someone far bigger than Peter hates Spider-Man. Um, you know, Typical Spider-Man fare here. As far as the story goes, I've actually found this really enjoyable. But I also didn't find it anything necessarily to write home about. I thought it was, yeah, I thought it was good. I think Joe Kelly has a great, if not sort of, I don't have another word to describe this, but like almost bouncy voice for Peter. Like I sort of found myself sort of floating with how light Peter's dialogue felt. I don't know, it felt breezy and uh again, bouncy is the only word that I can come up with.
Yeah,
Um Please.
sorry. I think for me, that felt like happy-go-lucky.
Yeah.
That kind of just like helped speed the issue along. Um, and I agree. I think this was um an otherwise good jumping on point. I don't feel like I needed to know anything about Spider-Man before this. I did like the shout outs now that I have direct experience with it, with the first page, the plagiarized work of another scientist. And
Mm.
I was like, oh, that's cool. Okay, cool little shout out. Um, but I mean, from there, it just spins out into this is why Peter is who he is, and he is Spider-Man. And there was definitely a moment where I felt frustrated at Peter because I'm like, dude, you need this thing, right? You need this to live, to survive, to whatever it is, and you're making the conscious decisions not to. And you know what? I at some point I have to respect that decision because that's who the character is, and I had to take a step back from that. Be like, oh, okay, Joe Kelly Kelly made me care here for him and his plights and the things, and get frustrated at this character in a way that um is not it's because Peter is Peter Parker to a fault, and I think that that was a good representation of who he is. And the art, Pepe Larraz made him feel so young. He looks like a baby face, uh 21-year-old. Obviously, he's post college grad, so he's meant to be older, but he just looks really fresh and young, and I liked this. I like this version.
Yeah, I think I'm with you guys here. I think I would have much preferred this to be Joe Kelly as number one, rather than the whole 8 deaths that we had to deal with previous, because that was a slog. Honestly, I read it all. It was fine, but it was a bummer of a story. Half of the story, Peter Parker just slumped around, hating his life, and it was just like, yes, it was out of character. That was a story, but this is much more. This number one is much more in line with like, okay, this is a modern take on Peter Parker. It references all of the history of Peter Parker, that we've had, but at least puts us in a spot that's relatable, which is what Peter Parker should be, relatable at the end of the day. Even so much as that, like, Marco, you were frustrated with him. I think that's a good marker of a good Peter Parker writer, because at his core, Peter is somebody who self sabotages all the time because he needs to be Spider Man, and that screws him up. And I think if you felt that as somebody, how many number one Spider Man issues have you read? Probably a decent amount.
Yeah, I can count them.
Okay, but you can count them. Yeah. So like, even if for you to feel that way, I think it's a testament to a good Peter that Joe Kelly is writing here. And I might have poo-pooed Joe Kelly previous to this, not being too excited with it, but I thought this was pretty damn good. It does not hurt that Pepe Larraz is on art. That those double page spreads where he's wrangling down Rhino are gorgeous. And there's just like he really understands how to draw Peter mid swing. You have John Romita's, and I'm a huge John Romita fan, but you have his stanky leg cover that he did the last time they rebooted with a number one. Pepe Larraz really understands the motion and how the body contorts when it has that kind of G-force from the swing and all that. I thought it was great. Yeah, I really like this. I was surprised how much I like this. I was going into this with no expectations. Actually, probably low expectations, to be honest. And I came out with it like, you know what? I didn't dislike that. That felt good. That felt good.
I was really shocked by how much I enjoyed this. I had no I have nothing good to say about the 8 deaths. Um, that was a rough storyline, and I don't think it brought out the best of Joe Kelly either. I think this is a much better representation of what Joe Kelly can do. And I mean, I can't specifically recall any of Joe's storylines during the Brand New Day era, but I remember thinking of him favorably.
Hmm.
So 8 deaths just felt like such a weird departure. But this is right. This is how it should feel. I'm not saying this is the greatest Spider-Man story I've ever read. By far not. But it's solid. I can't. There's nothing here that I can really say like, wow, that sucked or that took me out of the story. I think it all looks really great. Pepe Larraz is one of the best in the industry, and in my opinion, the best that Marvel has to offer. And they put him on the biggest book, and I think that makes a lot of sense for Spider-Man. Um, there's some stuff seeded here too. Like there's a shady villain who we're not sure exactly who that is, and then there's also the hobgoblin aspect that seems like it's going to play going forward. So I really like all that stuff. Um, this is unimpeachable. I really enjoyed this.
And I like how because one of the Joe Kelly stories that jumps out to me from Brand New Day, Sean, is his Rhino story.
Oh,
During
sure, yeah.
I think it was
Hmm.
like a one issue, maybe a two issue. It was during the Gauntlet where they were kind of reimagining all the famous Spider-Man characters. But it's cool how he references his own work in this too. You know, he references that Alexi is, this guy being good, so he's almost directly following up his work as closely as he can. Um, and I was like, oh, I was impressed by it. Yeah. Even Hobgoblin popped me, or Kingsley
Yeah,
rather. We don't quite
same.
get Hobgoblin yet,
Yeah.
but I typically don't like Hobgoblin. I think it's derivative and annoying. But I don't know, man. I saw that and I was like, I'm not against it. Okay, we'll see what we can do.
I really like Hobgoblin, so I was happy to see that.
Yeah, I only know Hobgoblin from the animated series where he was basically a stand-in for the Green Goblin.
Yeah.
But knowing that there's evolution for the Hobgoblin, that differentiates them in the comics, is wildly interesting to me. And I've never seen it, so I'm very interested to see where this goes.
I did
Yeah.
not care for the Ramita part of this. Um,
The backup, right? One of
yeah,
them.
it's all right. And man, I'm just not a fan of the art. So took me out. I was like, oh, I was having a good time, and then I was appreciative that there was more Laraz than there was Junior.
I mean, Marco, it's fine. We don't all need to have taste. It's perfectly fine if you don't like
Yeah,
Ramita.
you know,
You know,
don't like salt. You know,
the double Ramita backups too. There's two of them.
Weird.
Yeah, I would thought if they would do another like a second backup, it'd be a different artist. But it is what it is.
The first backup is a Norman story where he's giving a speech at Oscorp, and then somebody who has been negatively affected by Norman's behavior, if you will, as the Green Goblin, attacks, and he's a cyborg somehow, and he tries to kill Norman, and Norman stops him by himself and makes a decision right then and there that he's going to stick around with Oscorp and try to right the ship of that company. So they're still going with the Norman as a good guy angle that I thought would resolve itself throughout Zeb Wells' run. It didn't, and I'm not mad. That's okay. Um, do you guys think? Do you guys think there's a chance that he is the big bad of this story?
No, no, I don't think so. I don't know who it's going to be, but I think they want to play that Norman thing a little longer. I think the fact that so many writers have been trying to write Norman as a good guy makes me feel like there might be an edict for it.
Interesting.
To reestablish Norman as a associate and friend and supporting cast for Peter. So maybe down the line they could do something where they can pull the swerve in a bigger motion. Like I know he's an associate of Peter in the animated series, right? Like he's like his mentor essentially, the new one, Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. So I think there's like an edict across the board to kind of like let's build him up as a good guy so we can pull the rug out from everyone.
Disney won't allow any bad guy billionaires anymore.
Yeah, well, that's just my tinfoil hat. I'm fine with it though. I think there's still gold to be mined from that, and I don't mean Gold Goblin. I think like some actual interesting Norman stuff can happen out of it, and him using Oscorp now visibly to right his wrongs instead of doing it behind the scenes could be interesting.
Yeah, from the letters page, I kind of got the impression that they were going a bit deeper for the villains in this. So I kind of thought it was. I got the impression the shadow person was a shadow person. I don't know if there's a Spider-Man bad guy with that type of power, but that's what I thought about.
Yeah, same. A literal shadowy figure.
And then the second backup, was that a new character?
Yeah, it is. It's a new
Is
character.
it?
Because they were touting this as like key issue. You know, here's a new first appearance of Hellgate,
That looked kind of
Right.
cool.
which they're doing in solicits now.
Does anybody care about this character right here?
Oh, you mean
Is any
Injustice Ares?
He looked
is
cool,
anybody feeling
but
like they need to go out and cop the variant with him on it because it's going to be worth a ton one day?
it's a key issue.
Unreal.
They'll charge for it.
I mean, people are always complaining Marvel's not making new characters. I'll give it a shot. I'll give
You
it
know
a
what?
shot.
I'm gonna keep complaining.
Pull. I really I had a good time with this, far more than I thought I would. And I don't know how it's going to stack up against what Zeb Wells did, but as the first issue goes, I think it did everything right.
Stick around for the next one. Yeah, pull.
Yeah, pull.
It's a pull for me. The worst that I can say for this book is that it feels like a Spider-Man book. If that makes sense, you know.
Yep.
It's a bit
Absolutely.
of same old, but I don't mind it at this point. Yeah, pull.
Let's see what you guys had to say. We put up a poll alongside every review, hoping that you guys will vote and sort of be the fifth pal in that regard. 54% of you said pull, 24% said pass. Didn't buy or read is 21%. Nobody chose it as pick of the week. It's interesting because there are definitely people in the chat, at least, who are not even willing to give this a try. And I'm not um, saying that as a negative. If you were done with Spider-Man, that's cool. But it's interesting that an ASM number one isn't enough to bring people back to give it a shot.
What's the scuttlebutt there as to why? They're just bored of it, or
Burned out,
Sure.
the
Yeah.
Zeb Wells thing, and then Eight Deaths wasn't any better to a lot of people. So
I mean, yeah, the Zeb Wells thing. I mean, there's been quite a bit of chatter in the chat right now just about Peter's constant reset. The refusal to let him grow.
we've got some super chats already. Thank you so much for that. Really appreciate you guys who support the show in that way. Hayden's Hideout with two $5 super chats. Hey pals, my pick of the week is Batman Dark Patterns. This arc reminds me of the movie The Raid Redemption, which has a similar plot. I think we commented on that last issue.
yeah,
Red as well.
yeah. I brought up Raid. I didn't bring up Raid Redemption. I've not seen that, but now I'm curious.
Hayden followed up with another 5 spot. Gooner pick of the week is the Amazing Spider-Man number one Art Germ variant. Art Germ plus Black Cat is always a win in my book. Well, let's see what you're talking about.
Open
got
up
the-
League of Comic Book Geeks.
It's
Oh yeah.
it's a Archer variant. There
Oh,
you can pretty much in your mind's eye imagine
You
what
know
that
what
looks
it
like.
looks like.
Yeah, it's not the
Why-
smuttiest thing ever. It's a Marvel Snap variant for the future.
tells like use your mind's eye. I can use my eyes just fine, thank you.
Use my actual eyes.
Pretty good. I like it.
I do like
I
Archer.
like it.
Yeah, his stuff kind of always looks the same, but like I ain't complaining.
Comics Exposed with the $5 says, so did you check out Those Not Afraid from Dark Horse that I recommended? Did you get Vatican City this week? Thoughts? I personally can't comment on Vatican City right now. You know how the show goes. Try to trick me. But Those Not Afraid, I don't think I got that. I don't think so.
I don't
Yeah,
recall that one.
I was unfamiliar with that one as well. I don't think
Yeah.
I'm going to be checking out Vatican City though. I'm afraid. Mark Millar is just not my bag right now.
I forgot to. It's an
Marco,
honest mistake.
did you go to the LCS this week?
I did, yeah, but I just forgot to pick that one up.
Okay.
If I had a pull list,
Would you have added
forget
it?
to put it on it.
Yeah.
well,
And then finally, entertain me with the $2. I got the 2 Black Cat covers. They're worth it. So there you go.
Yep.
There you go. 2 shout outs for that Black Cat cover. I'm not gonna spin the block to go get it. But I'm glad you guys like it.
It's the only Black
Good
Cat cover I have here. It's my first appearance.
What issue is that?
Issue 194. First appearance of Black Cat.
Very cool.
It's beat to shit, my copy, but it was my dad's, so a little sentimental thing.
Comics Exposed with another $2. How many issues will we have Larraz on Amazing Spider-Man? 2, 3? I don't know the specific amount of issues that he will be involved in. I got to imagine they're going to have him for the first arc at least. Even if he's switching off with someone else, with Ramita, with I know Ed McGuinness is going to be back. He's not gone from Spider-Man, so I think we're going to have at least those 3 artists kind of rotating around.
Yeah, I just looked at solicits. Right now, he is good till issue 5, and it looks like Ramita is doing issue 6. So I don't know if Ramita is going to do the second arc. He'll go back to Larraz, but we were at least getting 5. So,
and you know what? I'm fine with that because go ahead.
I was gonna say because 5 is an arc. You know, if we get even if it's just a fill-in issue with Ramita, that's a decent chunk of what they're selling us.
and as a Amazing Spider-Man fan who's read my entire comic book life, that cadence works for me because the book comes out bi-weekly, every other week. So
I'm not sure.
It is more frequent than others. So I assume that's built in. Yeah, it's bi-weekly. Yeah.
The big reason I'm comfortable with it is because they've told us, Ramita is in the very first issue, and we knew that Ramita would be involved. I know McGuinness will be involved because they've talked about it. So as long as they're up front, I'm comfortable with whatever the cadence is going to be. That's fine. And Pepe Larraz is one of the best working, so I'm not, I'll wait for his work.
E.W. Gordon said, "I suffered the horrors of Blood Hunt for the Larraz art. I can suffer a perfectly fine Spider-Man book."
yeah,
There you go.
fair enough.
Yeah. Matt Fisher with the $4.99. Matt, I saw you last night over at the Solomonster show. When Gale doesn't have to do random crossovers, it is great. Uncanny X-Men for the book of the week. What's up, Tyler? My little green tomato.
Ooh.
No pet names in chat, Matt. Come on. Jeez.
Where's he getting the green?
Hey, and you know what? The tomato.
Yeah,
That
too.
Which is funny. I hate tomatoes, and it's 100% Denethor's fault from Lord of the Rings.
Stop.
It's wet. I don't like a wet tomato. Like a cherry tomato, you can pop it in. I'm good. Sliced tomato, no thanks. Too wet.
All right.
Oh boy. I did want to read a few more of the non-super chat comments because I'm curious what the thought process is with this Amazing Spider-Man. How are you guys feeling? Blazeman says, was surprised how much I enjoyed this. Roll my eyes a little at the job interview montage, but it was good overall. Did anybody else catch the reference to Dragon Ball Z? The first place he applies is called Bulma Tech.
Yeah. I
Oh,
saw
really?
that,
I didn't
yeah.
catch that.
I did catch it, but I went, "Oh, that's something." I'm not going to look into it, but that's something.
Yeah, I thought that was cute.
Yeah.
I thought it was cool that Rand Industries popped up. I was like, all right, there's a little Marvel synergy there, even though he is a zombie now, right? We never got an update on that.
Well, I'm not reading the Power Man book. I think that's where they were going to follow up with all that
I thought
stuff.
that was a future book.
But their futures and pasts are like
okay, all right.
interconnected. So I
I'm out.
I don't know.
I'm out.
I don't know. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, I liked the bit where Spider Boy texts Peter.
That was good.
And it's just the most Gen Alpha just stream of consciousness text message, like just text, and there's like a, I can fight alone. He old, and I'm like, I think he's talking about Vulture or something like that.
Yeah.
So it makes,
Yeah.
I thought that was kind of cute. I'm trying not to be into Spider Boy, but the more he kind of just shows up in little bits, I'm kind of warming up to him, and I hate that. Stop it.
Gonna have to pick it up.
Those texts were legitimately the most I've liked Spider-Boy so
Right?
far.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Joe Kelly did that. Like one of the like not a young writer. He's not saying he's old, but he's not a young person.
He old. Kurt Wildshit said the Norman of it all is a little frustrating just because of how we got here. There have been good stories about him struggling with his demons before all the Sin Eater baggage. Yeah, I just think they needed something a little more like one-to-one tangible in a sense to make it plausible that Norman had a face turn that wouldn't go away immediately. They had to remove the evil from him. Otherwise, how could you ever trust Norman knowing that the Green Goblin is still inside of him?
And why would you anyway?
Right.
One bit that I forgot that I wanted to mention here about this. Spider-Man goes into Rhino's apartment, right? That's Jerry Seinfeld's apartment. It's the same exact layout.
Wait, what?
From Seinfeld.
Stop it.
It's a New York City apartment. Every
No,
apartment
Cale.
is.
It is literally the exact same layout where the kitchenette is, where the front door is, the chairs, the table, the couch. He just recreated Jerry's apartment.
I think I
You
can
know what?
see it.
I'm looking at it right now. I completely believe you.
I've been to Jerry's apartment. I went to a recreation of it. I've sat in the couch where Poppy peed. This immediately jumped out to him. Like, where's the Superman? Like, I can see the shelf where Superman would be. I thought it was great. I was like, cool. I'm down with it. If Rhino is all about doing nothing, then that's fine with me.
It's kind of his thing. Heavy Smolka said earlier, I don't really care about this mystery villain because we've done this before more than once and it's not interesting.
Man, Tevye is just the most negative person on earth when it comes to Spider-Man. So I tend to like let that go in one ear and out the other. Yeah.
But like they even like in the cliffhanger, right? Where Pepe Larraz gets to do everything. Where like every villain gets drawn. He even draws, what was the mystery villain during Nick Spencer's arc? The
bug guy.
The bug guy. He's there too. And I was like, okay. They're even poking fun at the mystery character by showing the other mystery characters that have been mystery characters before. Chasm's there. I don't know. It's a trope, sure.
There's also 1,000 of these things. Like,
yeah.
Gavin says, I have a whole issue of a comic set at Sacred Heart from Scrubs.
That's awesome.
yo,
That's cool.
I was going to ask you what shows you've drawn in books before.
Matt Fisher with the 199 says, hey, Solomonster. Matt, let me tell you something with certainty. Jason Solomon is not listening to this show. He is not.
Jason Solomon, if you're here, give us a 199 chat.
Nothing would
See what
make me
happens.
happier on this earth.
Is he watching TNA right now? Is that what happens
No.
on Thursdays? He's not a TNA guy?
He is not.
Okay.
He's not. Hey, Gavin. Actually, Gavin had a pretty big book himself drop this week. Action Comics. And at least Tyler and I are going to have some remarks about the book later on. Needless to say, though, Gavin, if you're not going to be here for that conversation later on, you fucking killed it, man. Killed it. Put your whole ass in it.
I mean,
Wow.
Thank you for doing that.
he gets to draw cybernetic polar bears. Like,
Yeah, hell yeah.
gotta have fun with
What
it.
a lucky guy.
His whole Gavin Gidrussi. Wow.
Ooh, I even hated that one. That that made me pucker up down below. So good job, Cal.
Neon Knight Rider with the $5. Do you guys find yourself trying too hard to like it, or is it naturally liked it without having to think too much about it? I'm trying my best. So I assume that is in reference to Amazing Spider-Man.
Surely.
In which
Yeah.
case I have no reason to try to like it. I'm comfortable coming on here and telling you if I think something isn't good. I enjoyed this.
I would say, if anything, the opposite. If I can not like a book that is bi-weekly, I'd probably be okay with not having to read it. Spider-Man maybe gets leniency because I've read every issue since I've been reading. But yeah, no, I genuinely liked it. I go in each book as each book. I'm not forcing myself one way or the other.
It unfolds to you, and it was good.
Y'all
I mean-
know me. I don't like any book. And I'll come on here and say so at the top of my lungs. But you know what? I didn't need to.
Didn't have to.
Yeah, I think if you're trying to like something, then you should probably just leave it alone because that means you don't really like it. Why waste your money that way, you know? But thank you for spending your money here. And it's worth pointing out that that $5 super chat that Neon Knight Rider sent us is still less than the cost of this comic book. This was
Oh,
$5.99.
Oof.
Ooh, don't tell me every issue is right. No, that's added for the
No,
backups, right?
it has to be-
$4.99 every issue. $4.99.
Yeah. This was the big first number one. You know.
Honestly, surprised they didn't go higher.
You know what? Sure.
for
$6.99
for a Pepe Larraz #1.
with two John Romita backups.
And the first appearance of a key character.
For
I
that,
mean,
Cale,
and a
they could have
Spider-Man
gone to
book.
$8.99.
Yeah.
I mean, look. They knew what they were doing.
Spider-Man too, like that's an easy sell. Yeah, they had a little restraint here.
Do want to let you guys know that the next time we'll be live with you is Saturday for the main show. Should be a good time. Always is. Hope to see you 10:15 a.m. Eastern. We will be right here on the channel, hanging out with you all as we always do. Um, we will also announce the book club winner. The poll results. I could say it now, but we'll leave it in limbo until Saturday. I think some of you already know what it is, though.
Something crazy could happen.
Yeah. Yeah, you never know. You never know. Oyabun says if these tariffs get unpaused, get ready for $7.99, bud. Well, get ready for people to drop the comic.
Yep. Bud.
Buy like
One.
3, and that's it.
Yeah, what are we gonna do, man? Like I was surprised by the amount that my pulls cost me this week.
Again. That's not
Again,
good. That's not
Oh.
good.
Could be in the other
Uh-oh.
direction. Could be a different surprise.
don't understand it. Before we move forward, we'll read this one last comment from Figure Drawing that's aimed at Cale. Cale, you want to take that?
Yeah. Cale befittingly bemoaned the price for that comic, which brings up a question. How much would you be willing to pay if you knew the expense was due to actually paying the creators?
Kale.
For me, it's tough. I would say it would have to revolve around how many other books? What's the competitive pricing here? But if I were picking this up at, say, Thought Bubble or something, where I could hand Joe Kelly or Pepe Larraz, money, uh, $15
For a floppy?
I don't
for
know.
I mean, like
Get a signature
know,
too if you're there.
hand to hand. Yeah, like I'm thinking at a convention, get a signature, um, fully colored, fully, obviously nice paper. Um, and I'm handing it to him. Yeah,
I'd pay what is normally the paid like what the book costs. I just wouldn't complain about it anymore.
I'd pay what the book costs and still be annoyed it costs so much. I I guess like because for me, it's like I want the creators to receive as much financial benefit as they can, but that doesn't take away from the fact that it is expensive.
and you got to eat, right?
Right.
Yeah, like in my thing, like that's probably the only one I'm getting. Like,
Yeah, like at cons, yeah, I've paid like $15 for a floppy.
yeah,
Because like I know that's a box that's given to the creator, that all of it's going to them, and they're there, and I can talk to them. It's essentially a tip that I get a little something on the back end for. But if I'm just buying it, like if I'm buying it at a shop, I'm buying it at a shop.
And hold the line, bro. Hold the line at $3.99.
It's a
I'm
weird
paying.
if, because that's just not the reality. So it's hard for my mind to be like, what would I do?
I will say this, and we've all had this experience, I'm sure. You go to a Comic-Con and you see a creator who you really like, and they're selling typically not a floppy, but maybe like a trade of one of their books that you really enjoy, but it's overpriced. And you know that. Like you could go to the store and you could get it for cheaper, but buying it from that person right there, you're paying more. And I don't mind that. Like if it's somebody I already really like and I'm getting a signature and all that, that's fine.
Yeah, I thought. Yeah, I'm the same way. That's just the name of the game when you're at a con. It's there to support. So
Yeah, you
Yeah.
can get the trade for $20, or you can get the exclusive New York Comic Con slightly bent backing issue for 30.
that said, like I would do that. If I got it from Pepe Larraz's, uh, website, right? Like even if it were slightly more expensive, if I could get around Marvel and hook Pepe up with just a little bit extra, so he can keep going. Like hell yeah,
Slide him some
Yeah.
cash under the table.
Matt Fisher says, "Weren't we supposed to see someone for the first time in 7 years in ASM #1?" So what I believe I remember is that the villain, the big bad, is someone we haven't seen in 7 years. I believe that's the way this was teased. As for who that'll be, I have no idea because I can't. I mean, I feel like we see everybody every year, so I don't know.
is that 2018?
Yeah,
That seems too recent.
that's
That's
like
too recent.
that's a blink ago. Like,
Yeah,
who is it?
dude,
Harry Osborn? Like,
yeah, that's Nick Spencer's run.
7 years. I was thinking about like, oh, who haven't we seen since like 2012, 2013,
I know, but
2018?
you're talking big time era. Like
if it's just 2018, you shouldn't even tout that as a big feat for the book. Like, I'm sorry,
Who even cares?
it's 2 runs ago.
Yeah.
Parker Industries was just last issue. What are you guys talking about?
All right.
Jesse,
Sorry for the. Go ahead.
I was gonna say Jesse says Kickstarter is like $15-20 for a book, so it seems reasonable if it goes to the creators. Yeah.
I'm saying.
Dude, I'm not even gonna get into that.
Oh,
Just because I was just gonna like because the Kickstarter thing sometimes it's just like ridiculous. 15-20 is perfectly acceptable, but sometimes you see that like $40 for a
Oh
standard
yeah,
trade,
yeah,
like
of course.
plus shipping. No, I'm good. 15-20, yeah, that's fair. Neon Knight writer with another 2 books. You guys are doing the thing today. I appreciate this. Fingers crossed for Amazing Spider-Man 1000, the end. JMS Junior though. JMS recently teased that he was going to be doing
Yeah,
an ongoing at Marvel again. Um, I've always felt really bad for him for how Amazing Spider-Man played out because I thought his
yeah.
run was pretty darn good. And he got dealt a shitty hand at the end. It wasn't his fault.
Yep. And especially for the level of run that he had, for it to peter out that way, so to speak, like
Boo.
Yeah.
for it to Aunt May out that way, like
Entertain Me says, come on, we got 116 watching and still under 50 likes. Hit the thumbs up. I agree with that. Let's hit the thumbs up button. Let's make this a good stream. Thank you for being here. Really need you guys today. It feels good to be able to show up here and know that I've got friends, all across the world who appreciate what we do and support us and, are our friends in some way. So really thank you. Thank you so much. Let's get into the next book. Let's talk The Ultimates, number 11. This is written by Dennis Camp, as always, with art by Juan Frigeri. We also have colors by Federico Blee and letters by Travis Lanham. This issue is built around the Asgard of it all. Sif and Thor go to Asgard to deal with Loki, who has taken over. And the entire issue is written as a poem.
Hell yeah.
From the perspective of an undefined narrator, as we see them basically try to strike back at Loki and take back Asgard from this tyrant. Marco, was this your jam?
Yeah, man. This was pick of the week. Out the gate. I immediately felt this like from camp. The diction used, the language, these like pairings, cave, kingdom, lightning leaping, god things, but within that bracketed is brace of whatever X thing. Um, that started coming out, Thunderlord, Hammerholder. I'm like, oh, okay, so he's getting cutesy with his little opening, and he's doing his little thing, and then you get to the next page, and it's just full on stanzas. I'm like, oh hell yeah! I had to sit down different. I had to like prop myself up. I was like, okay, all right, we're gonna lock in here. And the idea of having to go to war with Loki, that motif of pairs and like these dual things just started seeping into the book for me. Be it him and Sif, Thor and Loki, the all of different realms that get visited. There's a lot of imagery of two people or two things kind of coexisting and happening. So I was just having a blast, man. This, especially from the language part, started just felt like an epic, Norse poem or something. So straight a lot of fun. I could feel the um it could get tiring, but I'm a poetry lover, so this hit right where I live.
It getting tiring is where it hit me. um,
Yeah.
I like the pairings that are throughout this. You get the two dwarves with Thor and Sif. You have Hela with the undead army, the dwarves with the ice frost giants. Like there's pairings throughout it, and that's the theme of the issue. Um, but I found myself trying to hear the rhythm of the writing, and I was fighting it because I was trying to find it, where then I was then taking myself out of the book because I was working too hard. I appreciate the effort, but I think at the end of the day, it did take me out of the book. I think there's some really interesting stuff going on here. I think there's some themes, like the whole bit with the dwarves working for Asgard and they're not getting paid anything, but they still work, and the whole bit with like the what is it, Vanaheim, with these like people that see all this injustice or just doing nothing. I'm like, okay, there's Dennis Camp. I see that stuff, but it was kind of overshadowed by like the pitter patter of this poetry that would change rhythm page to page, and I think that was throwing me off too, because I finally got the rhythm by the end of the page, and then I get to the next page, and then I'm lost again. So I think it's just maybe I'm not a poetry guy, so it could be that I don't know how to read it. Very possible. and it could be it's not my jam. I think all in all, it's a good issue. I did like this issue, but I did not care for the storytelling gimmick.
Yeah, I'm at the same place, and I think it's, because we kind of have to hurry to read these, for this. We don't exactly get to sit and spend time with it. And as someone who really likes the writing and the style that this is, the epic poetry, like, this is totally up my street. But once I caught it, I was like, okay, this is cool. But when I started seeing all these captions, I went, man, come on. And it just, it it wasn't what I necessarily wanted. And I feel bad because I like the Ultimates so much, and I don't want to come here for what I want. But I'm also the grind of the series, similar to, I think Sean said about the Luke Cage issue, a couple issues ago. It's just the whole thing is starting to grind a little bit. The political message, and not even that it's bad or I disagree with it, just like the preaching of it is starting to wear down on me.
I'm gonna read this super chat from Oyabun because it's a representation of what I thought about this issue. From art, quote, from art to content, which are the same. That's an official policy. Absolute banger line from Dennis Camp. Thank you, Oya, for the 4.99. I didn't think that was a banger line. I was frustrated by this book, and when we got to that line, I was just like, "Come on, man." I agree with I'm sure that all the opinions that Dennis Camp has about all this stuff, I agree with all of them. But and this is not me saying I don't want this kind of stuff in my comics. I definitely do. It's just that this is the 11th issue. The Ultimates are characters that I'm really developing care about, and I didn't come to this book for poetry. I don't personally care about poetry. I could tell that it was well written. I thought like his use of the words and the way he put it together was cool. As a fan of rap, but not like direct poetry, I was able to appreciate a lot of what he was
Mm.
doing. But it's like, all right, it's cool that you can do this, but this is not what I need from this comic book. It's just not.
In the first arc, he was doing it within the plot, within the story, like that was all there. And I feel like the last couple issues, like it's there, but the story is taking a step back. It's like building issues each time.
Well, when we first got teased with Loki having taken over Asgard, I think we all thought, wow, that'll be a much bigger thing that we'll see down the road. I didn't really expect it to play out in this fashion. Um, and I thought I should say, because I do have positive thoughts about this. I thought this looked amazing. I thought that this was one of Juan Frigeri's best efforts from a visual standpoint. This version of Asgard looks incredible. It reminds me so much of God of War. It has. I'm not saying that mainline Asgard needs to look like this, but it has like a. It's beautiful, but it also has grit and grime to it
Mm.
as well, and
Mm.
I really liked that version of Asgard. So I appreciated this from a visual standpoint. But Loki's not really a character, so you don't really get any of that. Nobody talks because it's all from the perspective of this narrator that's doing poetry, and I couldn't I couldn't connect with the story because I felt like the story is being told in a way that I just don't want.
I think that the fact that this being the conclusion of what could have felt like or been a larger story within this world, I think that's valid. There's like a missing part to that. I feel like sometimes the Ultimate books don't commit fully to the idea because in this case they're constrained to the month again. You know, even if they were to do a full arc on that, they would have to abide by the month cadence. And so um, even something like that where you could tell, let's say, a grand epic because now Thor has to come back with Sif and they have to, you know, overthrow again. It gets constrained. It gets constrained by it. So I can see that frustration. That wasn't something I had thought of, um, but I think, yeah, that's a good point because it's another example of it happens less in this book, but it's another example of where that month um, mandate it can get in the way a bit.
If this, that's exactly, you nailed it. If this was a more traditional book in the sense that it had like traditional arcs and stuff like that, um, this issue would be fine in the sense that, and it is fine. Like it's great, and clearly people really enjoyed it. But knowing that they're going to skip to the next month, and we are on a clock, right? Every issue is supposed to feel real in my mind, really important. And I don't know if we have the space for all these deviations. And it feels like we've only gotten deviation since the fight with the Hulk.
It feels it feels like this, the past couple of years of MCU films outside of the Infinity Saga or whatever, just sort of meandering until the next thing comes.
Ultimate Shang-Chi is going to be next issue, I guess.
Right.
Probably.
And I also did think that the tease with what Thor and Surtur agreed to, like that was really cool. That was a great page.
Hmm.
I'll just show it off. Them shaking hands. I thought that looked really sick, and I'm sure that's going to have massive implications. Um, and then of course there's the sequence with Iron Lad just after that, which, was anybody confused by that?
What part?
Just this last page, what he shows, what he sees there.
I,
I thought there
I,
was a future.
I viewed that as they've changed the future. I viewed that as that was what was supposed to happen to them, and it didn't.
Oh, interesting. Something that
Did
was or was it? Okay.
Doom used some sort of time travel shenanigans to rescue them, didn't he?
He used it wasn't time travel, but it was like he had to he pretty much beamed them out.
They
It was
teleported.
Yeah.
it was okay, but was it what was it the thing that he's not supposed to do?
No,
The
not yet.
Immortus engine.
It wasn't that.
No,
No.
that's time travel. He can't touch time travel.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
But I think Kale's onto something though. I think there was something that Doom did that he wasn't supposed to do, but I just don't remember. I don't know. I think you're onto something though.
I thought it was just that they weren't as prepared as they thought, and they walked into that as a trap.
Yes. That's the concept of that issue. But I think because they get so stomped, like this is what was supposed to happen, but Doom did a no, and now Iron Lad has found out.
Oh,
Is
okay.
what I'm interpreting.
I'm interpreting it as to what Tyler said, where they have leveled up to a place or they've gotten to a place. Yes, they got stomped out, but had they had done otherwise, had Doom not been involved from the start, then this would have been the ultimate outcome for them.
Kurt Wildshot here has a pretty interesting theory that I think reads true. My read is that Doom has been messing with the Immortus engine despite being told not to, and now the timeline is split. The Ultimate Guardians also reference this.
I was wondering if there was something here, as as far as like somehow or another they can see into uh another timeline.
It has to be because that's the fight they had with
Yeah.
Hulk that we saw. The only difference is that they died. And this
Yep.
this image shows that, I mean, her head is off. She-Hulk's head got ripped off.
Yep.
And Cole brings up a good point here too. Tony is on the way to becoming Kang by making the Immortus engine his chest battery. It's been teed up since Ultimate Invasion. That
Yeah.
book that I didn't understand.
Yeah, that's been in play for some time, for sure. Uh I don't know. The cover we got for next issue features Tony on it. And so that makes me feel like, okay, we're gonna get some answers and stuff, and that's great. We've got what, 7 months left or something? What does it say here in the back? 7 months?
I think 7. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, 7.
That's 7 issues until Doomsday. We got to get going.
What is
It
that?
doesn't
It's
feel
Reed's
like
day.
it doesn't feel like we're 7 issues out from that whole thing.
Yeah.
I'm ready for a showdown with Hulk again. Like, I need something to move.
There's so many other lieutenants that the Maker has too that we should have, like Captain Britain. Like, where's that showdown? That's like a little lower level that I think they can handle.
He's in Wolverine, isn't he?
Could be Colette's Colossus and Omega Red and Magic, but he might have showed up in there.
I feel like he might have. Blazeman says Cosmo shows them a vision of the bad dream they all share, and it looked like the same scene.
I remember that.
I think the next issue will give us more clarity to this.
Yeah.
It's not dragging the issue down for me that I don't know. It's just a question, and I guess we'll get some clarity. But on the subject of this issue, I was not pleased, and I really desperately need this book to move forward. This is my favorite book, but issues like this are, quite frankly, bringing it down the list for me because I want the focus to be on the task at hand and not these deviations. So, pull, but it's a weaker pull than ever before for this title.
Pick of the week, baby.
It's a pull for me. Yeah.
I'm gonna give it its first pass.
Oh,
Uh-oh.
I just it it was thick in a way that I didn't enjoy. And I'll need to reread it certainly, but it just didn't do it for me this time.
It's also very possible that when the time comes, maybe for a reread after this is all said and done, that these snapshot issues will read better when we're not staring down the barrel of the future with this book.
Yep. I think this is a problem with the monthly floppy grind.
Yeah. 43% of you guys polled. Didn't buy or read is 30%. Pick of the week is 17%, and 8% said pass. All right.
69 votes. Nice.
Okay, fair enough. Eric Carter says, have the Ultimates finally had a dud? Mini dud?
I wouldn't go so far as dud. No.
Yeah. They've had a low, but even that low is a pull from all of us.
Nah.
Oh, I thought this was a high, so I don't know about you.
Well, it's not a pull from all of us. So
yeah, Cale said pass.
Hmm.
But
You forgot Cale was here.
I wouldn't say it's a dud because too many people have really amazing things to say. I think it's divisive, but I don't know if it's a dud.
yeah.
If it were a dud issue, we'd all kind of know that.
Mikey J says exactly the way I felt. Every page I turned, I was praying for a word bubble.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. It's Uncanny X-Men time. Last issue was the Gavin Guidry one, and we had a poll in the live chat to determine whether we would continue to review this book or not. And you guys decided that we should. And so we did. Gail Simone on the words. David Marquez making his return to art. Matthew Wilson on colors and Clayton Cowles on the letters. You guys already know that. This issue has two major stories going on. One about a black woman who is a mutant, I guess, um, in the good old racist days of the US of A, because we all know those are past us.
Gonna say, oh, like
And
2 weeks ago.
yeah, and Gambit is on a journey he's not looking to be on with that crazy dragon from the first arc that he stole or got the gem, the Agamotto eye from or whatever. And then there was some shit with the kids that I didn't care about. Tyler, how do you feel
Wow.
about
Wow.
I like the part with the kids.
Yeah.
You said two parts of the story. I'm like, there's three. This was an anomaly for me, this issue. I think as I weigh my feelings about it, they're positive. I did enjoy it, but it didn't feel like an X-Men issue. The whole flashback sequence with this new character, Henrietta, I think her name was, or something like that. And the idea that, she's traversing the U.S. during, it looks like maybe the women's suffragette movement era, but obviously, civil rights for black people, not as good, not on the up and up like they were for women at the time. So that being told and also telling the mutant story directly with something with like with racism, it's not a metaphor, it's the actual text rather than the subtext. I thought that was interesting, and especially in a time where I don't know much about what the mutants were like at that time. Mr. Sinister was around. That's all I know. I thought that was interesting. And honestly, the whole Gambit and the dragon thing, I was like, all right, you could do your shit. That is for me to look at David Marquez art and be happy about that. I could care less about the actual story there. I don't know what's going on. Is he going to become a cannibal? Sure. I'm sure there's some of our audience that would love to have Gambit eating them. But the kids thing I thought was interesting. The kids kind of get taken away to Death Dream, which is one of the kids who's kind of been the most mysterious out of all of them. Quite literally, it's his MO. But in terms of his, I guess, power set and what he does, it's still a little up in the air and not fully explained. So this seems to be delving into that a little more. I think we are in the dark just as much as the kids are. And I don't know if that, and I think it somehow ties into Henrietta at some point. And that whole bit where the family that is hosting them at this house for these kids knows about what's going to happen here. I thought that was interesting. But man, it doesn't feel like an X-Men book. It feels like a good Young Mutants book or like a New Mutants book, but it didn't really feel like X-Men to me. So I'm a little complicated about how I feel about it.
I agree with the kids portion of the story. It turned into like this little fantasy side quest thing, and all right, I'm having fun. They're doing stuff. The horse is always just fucking around. Um, and then the Gambit piece, or sorry, the that A plot that gets introduced with Henrietta. Uh I don't get it. I'm sure it'll tie into something, but it's so loose and tenuous for you right now that I got to those pages and I'm just like, all right, I'm kind of gonna skip over some of these boxes. I don't really, I'm not interested in that part of the story, because I don't know what you're trying to tell me quite yet. And if it is just metaphor or like you're making the example here, I'm not interested in that part of the story. I want the kids. I want more of the Gambit pieces.
Marco, can I push back on you real quick?
Yeah.
Permission? Uh, if you don't know what they're trying to tell you, but you don't want to read it, don't you
Well,
need to
no,
read it
I
to
mean
know what they're
like
trying to tell you?
I understand that we're trying to be presented with a metaphor, but I don't care for the metaphor because it like I get it. Like it's on the nose, but that feels tired for me.
I'm gonna go to bat and say that I totally agree with Marco. It's not that I'm tired of the race metaphor for mutant struggle in comics. I definitely am not. I just I just didn't care for this presentation. Um, I was really confused because there are people throwing up the M with their hands, and I was like, isn't that a new thing that the mutants do? Isn't that something they established post Krakoa as a way of communicating with each other? So why is that happening in the 1900s? Um, Also, if you're gonna tackle race in X-Men comics, you don't have to go to the 1900s to do it. You can do it right now today. And so for me, um, tying the race angle into the past, I don't care. I want stories that are dealing with what's happening now. And there's a lot of problems right now. And this is not a character that we know about, and she'll probably impact the story somehow, but is she going to be a presence? Because she's going to be a very old lady unless her mutant power doesn't involve her aging. So I just don't know that I really cared about all that. And then like the Gambit stuff, I don't give a shit about him fighting a dragon or going to the Savage Land or whatever. That all that cute Gambit shit they were doing in the last issue, I'm over that now.
The Gambit people, they ate, they had their fun. Give me my comic back. Uh, it it, it like I don't know if they were trying to say like what is it foreshadow something. They obviously kept referencing the eye. Sure, that's where the this came from. But there was a moment where that dragon thing's eating something and talking about family, friends, wives, and there's just reference of an eye. Like, are we sacrificing something? Is that what we're gonna foreshadow?
Oh, did you read the book?
Yeah, dude.
Seriously, like the Eye of Agamotto's the left eye. He says that.
Yeah,
And that's
okay.
where and he says that's where the power is. He specifically eats that eye. That's what
So
he's talking about. So he's saying if if you don't get me my Eye of Agamotto, you're going to start eating people because it festers and it's an eye of power and it's going to take you over. That was the clearest part of the book.
is it vampires? Is it zombies? Like, what kind of eating are we talking about here?
I mean, it's pretty straightforward cannibals, I think.
Neat.
Yeah.
Those are in now. That's a lot of movies about that lately.
Well, listen,
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I'm desperate to like this book, but
that's it.
I
This is wild to me. This is my pick of the week. I thought we would all be on fire for this. I thought this was great.
Have that.
I'm probably closer to you, Cale, but I'm not. No, it's not pick of the week for me. I thought it was good. Does it feel like
I
Uncanny X-Men? I don't know, but I thought it was a good book.
I started every section with oh god, but then with every caption and everything that happened, I was drawn in further. And then when the scene changed, the exact same thing happened, but I was drawn in. And so like for me, Gail really nailed the scene changes and the storytelling through each part, and she weaved it all together really, really well. Um, it wasn't until the end that I went, oh yeah, of course, and man thing.
Marco,
That
do
was
you
cool.
pop for man? Okay, there we go.
That was cool. Whoever knows fear, I was like, oh, all right.
that was my favorite part. I feel like I just shouted out Man Thing the other day, and then he pops up here. I was like, oh, cool,
Yeah,
awesome.
Yeah.
this really fucking worked for me.
I'm glad. I really am, and I see the chat. I see other people saying the same thing. I don't know if it's because of how I already feel about this book, but I just couldn't put the pieces together as far as like coming away from this feeling positive. I just really miss. I it's not even miss. I just want I don't feel like the story moves. I feel like they've been in the same place, dealing with the same shit, and I just want more. I want more than this,
Well, they're in a new place now.
right?
I had one question throughout this whole issue. How'd they get that horse on the boat?
Well, you can lead a horse to water.
I don't know. You can get him on the water.
Well,
It's always around.
I hate when I read and like that shit distracts me. I'm like, stop it. Don't think about that. Yes, it's one guy paddling a boat with an actual horse on it. Get over it. But I can't sometimes.
Happy to see David Marquez back.
Love it. He's
yeah.
whatever current era he's in with his art. It's a little cartoonier than I'm used to. I'm digging it.
Rarely do I appreciate the shift in artists from a like, wow, you can observe differences that aren't about whose art is better. I like the contrast of Gambit and Rogue's appearance from the Gavin issue to this one. In the Gavin style, I feel like it's a little softer, and so the character he's got that more softness to him. Whereas here, you can see the harder edges. He's kind of more like, oh, that's funny, Marco. It's kind of more built out physically. I like the contrast. I don't think either one is like I didn't enjoy either one more necessarily. I like being able to see that uh different artist interpretation of the same characters back to back when they're both really, really good.
You're just falling for the psyop, Sean. The big Marvel psyop trying to get people to like Gambit.
It's not going to work on me, trust me, dude. That last
No.
issue was an alchemy that cannot be replicated. And I think a lot of it was the Gavin effect. But no, it was a good comic. It was a good comic. For me though, this issue's a pass. This is I think the first issue of this that I'm passing on. I just didn't enjoy it.
Yeah, it's a pass. We have not been hot on the series, and as much as I want more with the kids, we get so little of them because those are the only parts that I feel like are sometimes entertaining.
But they just gave you the issue with the kids. Like, there's no other X-Men. Well, Gambit had his own thing. I don't know. This is a pull for me. I liked it enough. It's just the title throws me off. I read this book. I'm like, oh, I really like that book. And then I look at the title. I'm like, oh, that's Uncanny X-Men. Okay. But I like the book, so it's a pull.
Pick of the week for me. This feels like what I've been asking for from Gale and the X Office the whole time. This feels closer to a stamp of what of Gale doing what she's trying to do. She just had to get past the Xavier of it all.
You know what was a very Gale moment in the book? They're getting off the boat. I think Jitter stumbles off the boat. And
I caught that too.
Calico like grabs her, and there's a beat there. That is a Gail Simone moment. That character beat between panels. That even what's the guy with the mask, like the leader of the Outsiders here? I forgot. I haven't caught up on their names yet, but he calls it out. Even like that's a very Gail Simone bit there. A little bit of romance.
We've got a 199 from Lucas Hallner who says pick of the week was Storm or Transformers. Okay.
If I have to pick Storm,
I heard Transformers was quite good.
I'm guessing.
To say nothing of Storm, I haven't read that yet or heard. Grayson Red with the 499. Good to see you, Grayson. I see you all over those Fusion World streams. I saw you last week. Krakoa haters ready to admit it was an awesome era yet, or are we still pretending this is better / more cohesive?
Krakoa haters are just emphatically wrong. Like even Marvel Rivals is proven that Krakoa was great. Like we're getting a revival of Krakoa in video games tomorrow, which I'm super excited for.
Tyler, can you imagine if that same thing was happening in Marvel Rivals, but Krakoa was still happening now.
It'd be great. And it's not just a Krakoa map. Spoiler, they go somewhere else for the next map that's coming in the second half of the season. Just saying.
It's just crazy how, like, if you go from that game, which you're loving Emma, you're loving all of that, and then you want to check out the comics, like it's not anywhere close. It's like, yeah.
It's weird.
Bet you're loving Emma.
They wrote like a whole love letter to the creators too, who like the comics, which I thought was really cool for the video game people to do. They posted on their socials like, "Hey, we understand how important the Krakoa era is for fans and creators, and we want to thank the creators for building that world that we get to play in." And I thought, like, I don't think I've seen a video game do that. That was just cool.
I didn't even see that. That's incredible.
Yeah, it was like within their rollout of it. I think I saw some of the creators reposted on Instagram and stuff too. I think I threw it on the Discord, so join our Discord.
I think that people vastly underestimate, not anybody here, not at least not on the panel, but I think people vastly underestimate how important Krakoa was to so many people.
To the X-Men.
1000%. Like, I can't say that I can think of a more forward movement that a group of characters had in a comic. Like right now, at least, I can't think of it off the top of my head.
But just a reintroduction.
Wow. I think I think Krakoa was as much of a step forward for the X-Men as much as Superior Spider-Man was a step forward for Spider-Man, in that it was actual movement, it was dangerous, and it was a steep status quo change.
I hate that I agree with you, and the only reason why I say I hate it is because I wasn't on that train. Like, that was the danger from Marvel that I'm looking for now.
Yep.
But I agree with you.
Yep.
Question: do you think in Doomsday? I don't know, a little bit of a tangent, but take the dance with me. Do you think in Doomsday, Avengers Doomsday, the next Avengers movie, we were getting a lot of Fox X-Men characters that are going to be older? Do you think that world has Krakoa, and they play with it there?
No.
I don't know that we're gonna see that in the films, to be honest.
Just as a location. I'm not saying they go into the nitty gritty of it, but like, hey, they have a council now. You know, they have
okay.
Mystique's
I can see a reference.
It would justify why Professor X and Magneto are friendly. You know,
that is. I've always said I don't think they're going to do Krakoa as the status quo for the new
agreed. Yeah.
MCU X-Men. But what you just said is the best way for them to sort of have their cake and eat it too, to some degree. And the way that Marvel's been doing things in their films, where they're doing those kinds of have their cake and eat it too things, I can definitely see that happening. I can absolutely see that happening.
Could you rebirth them as new actors? That's probably a step too far.
I think that I think they'll let that die. Like
Sure,
I
that
could
world will
see.
die.
Yeah.
We'll have another Green Day send off for them. Yeah.
Kurt Wildshut had asked if I was enjoying. He said, "Do the new kids and exceptional work more for you than the outliers and Uncanny?" 100%. Because that book has less core X-Men to focus on. That book only has Kitty and Emma and Iceman, and he's not even really that big of a factor. Those kids are the point of that book, and they get a lot of focus and attention, and I know who they are, and I like them. Yeah.
Is that your favorite of the X books, Ron?
Yes.
The one with Mr. Sinister is your favorite of the X books.
Well, he just popped up, so we'll see how I feel.
Yeah, we'll see.
But from everything before, yes.
It's just last issue, right?
I kind of think the reason I like these past two issues is because they've been fairly singularly singular X-Men focused, X-Man focused, right? Like it's been Gambit, and then this issue introduced the kids, into that angle. And now I'm like, okay, I can kind of see who they are now that Rogue and Wolverine and Nightcrawler aren't all up in my face. Not that I hate that imagery.
I have such complicated feelings about this book because you're right, but in this book, I want them to be the focus. Like I want the mutants we know to be the focus. I like that Exceptional's doing something different, but the books feel like they sort of have the same point, but they're approaching it from different angles. But one of them is stuffed with X-Men we already know. So, I don't know.
Yeah, for me, I think the mysterious adventure that they're going on here just worked for me a little bit better than it has previously.
GK Ultra with the 9.99. Just want to shout out the community here for its incredible support for my YouTube channel, as my recent These Savage Shores video has almost hit 1,000 views. Thanks everyone here and in the Discord. GK Ultra, that's amazing. As a fellow YouTuber, I remember, I'm sure Cale and Marco, and even Tyler to some degree, remember the days when we couldn't get 1,000 views and we were busting our ass and trying, and it was just this insurmountable thing. Um, just because there's 100 plus people watching us right now, I never forget what it was like before. So
Yep.
congratulations to you. I'm glad that our community has supported you in any way. I frequently check your stuff out. I should probably tell you that, but keep up the great work. Thank you. Thank you. Keep up the good work.
You get to lurk too, Sean. It's fine.
Gosh, we've been on such tangents today, but the chat's great. We're having good conversations. We'll keep things rolling though. I know we have to. Let's talk about Absolute Batman #7. This is written by Scott Snyder with art by Marcos Martin, colors by Muntza Vincente, letters by Clayton Cowles. This is a Mr. Freeze issue. We all know that. We've all been teased with the fact that Mr. Freeze would be here, that this would be his sort of his origin. I definitely can say I did not predict that it would go this way. I thought it was going to be a flashback issue, and it's not. It does have flashback pieces, but it's largely focused on Bruce outside of the costume as he tries to investigate the death of Matches Malone, who in this universe is actually somebody that Bruce and his childhood friends knew from childhood. And he was kind of a near do well, and he falls in with the wrong crowd frequently. This time around, he falls in with the worst crowd for him and pays the ultimate price. And Bruce decides he needs to investigate that, and that leads him to a horrifying discovery.
This is my pick of the week. Easy. I love this issue. I thought it was great. It starts off at the beginning with the flashback, a couple of pages of young Victor Freeze, who the way it's set up makes you think it's all, the Victor Freeze we know. And his dad's bringing him to a glacier, and he's like, "Oh, you can't. There's so much life inside a glacier." And my mind went, "No, it's it's gross. It's bacteria. Don't go in there." I was right, and I was like, "Oh yes, called it." But the whole reinvention of the son of Freeze, really, and kind of playing on that origin in a different way, and in a weird kind of rich people getting to have access to experimental technology like cryo freezing, very Walt Disney. That being a play on it, and Freeze also having issues, with his parents being kind of the inciting incident for his current state. It's a very Batman thing. I thought it was really interesting, and I like the bits where Bruce is arguing with, Penguin, Riddler, Killer Croc, and Harvey, even though they're not those characters, they're just the civilian versions of those characters. And the way Marcos Martin draws this issue, I've been a Marcos Martin fan for as long as I can remember. I love his art. And that whole sequence with Bruce arguing with his friends, really. And it's all in shadow. You don't see any faces in that. But somehow Marcos Martin can draw body language and the panels he chooses and what he decides to show. And it's a little bit of light in it from the matches that are being lit up. I thought it was masterful. I thought it was great. And then we get this like horror page cliffhanger that just was like, oh yeah, I'm in. I love this. This was an easy pick of the week for me.
This was a bit of a low for me. For the art, which surprised me. I think I've been so used to the dynamicism of Dragoda that this it just felt a little stiffer, and that's fine. Just a different style. Um, it gave me. I'm trying to think of the right comparison, but like Guillaume Marsh, like some of that, like more European style, which obviously right, but it didn't feel like it meshed as well as I would have thought here. I in my mind, I see Marcos Martin and I think Spider-Man. I think he's colored brightly, and so the darker tones of this layered on top of his art took a second to get used to. I think you're right. You're calling out good moments, but even in those moments, some of the things uh, in body language, in the facial reactions, I feel like aren't as heightened, and that's fine. It's a subtler book, and I think that could be okay. But I wasn't jiving with it as much. I thought the story for it was the part of Bruce trying to get into Arc M was interesting, and I was trying to figure out. I was like almost waiting to see how that played out with Freeze at that point. It felt like we had we had our A plot or B plot, and I was waiting for those things to kind of collide. And when they finally do, I was also just caught off guard by the reveal and by the way that they played with the origin.
Yeah, it was really cool to see absolute Bruce do his thing. And like really get into the nitty-gritty of it. I enjoyed that, and I think that's something I've been fairly critical through this series about. But I think this issue, Bruce's detective stuff, really worked for me. Um, absolutely criminal that Scott Snyder would take Matches Malone from Bruce though and do it this way. That the Matches Malone persona is a Batman staple, and how dare Scott Snyder? Who the fuck does he think he is? Anyway, um, I I like the Marcos Martin art with every character but Batman and Bruce. I agree. I agree with Marco that I really found that chunky character just doesn't really fit the style. And it just I don't know, it took me out of it. And the parts in the alley with Bruce's friends, I think I needed more from that. And we'll get more in the next issue, but I think not having facial expressions and having to rely on body language, I think that really bugged me. And it just didn't play with me very well, play for me very well. That said, though, the horror stuff that Marcos does here, with whatever nasty thing happens to Matches, and then later on, with the cliffhanger, I think is wild. What a guy for this. Mixed bag for me. But this is probably the most I've liked this series.
Talk about the cliffhanger.
So the cliffhanger is that the Victor that we are introduced to is Victor Jr. and he is Mr. Freeze. He's infected with whatever ice thing, and he becomes a weird hyper extended ice snake man. Is nasty.
Yeah, that I think was the biggest question mark I had, was like, how are they going to do absolute freeze? And I'm so glad that they went a different direction. I'm so glad it's not just Victor and Nora. He's trying to preserve her. When we see Victor Jr. pull up the wall or whatever, and both of them were there, I I looked like I looked like Bruce. I was like, what the heck? How could that be? Um, I really like that switch up. Um, that being said, I mean, I enjoyed this issue. I thought the script was great. I really like uh Bruce having to, confront his friends, kind of confronting him like, "What the hell are you doing with this Batman? And you used us." Cuz they all tell him like, "You used us to learn certain things or gain resources or advantages that you have used to become Batman." And he's not even trying to have that conversation with them. He's all about his mission. Meanwhile, his friends are kind of just hurt by the fact that he left them out of the loop and he again used them. I like all that. The art, I don't think this was the best placement for Marcos Martin. I think he's great, but I just didn't think that this face right here, what is that? That just doesn't look.
Paul.
Yeah, it just doesn't look right to me. Um, and the color scheme, again, in another comic, I'm all in. I didn't think it felt right for this. Um,
This page, the splash though, or not the splash, but this 2 page of just color, that shit was cool. That that I'll shout out.
it's funny because that's the exact page I was looking at when I said I
Oh,
didn't like the colors.
So,
damn.
you know what I liked about the colors actually? I think they were going for heat temperature colors. Like you ever look through like Predator, how he sees.
Yeah. Oh, that's a great call
And
out.
it's all about temperature.
Oh.
And I think that's the color palette they were going for here. And I think it jumped out to me immediately in the first page where it's like greens and pinks and all that. I was like, oh, it's Predator vision. It's all heat vision. Which I think would thematically fit the story too.
Um, this is a two-parter, so next issue will resolve this story for the time being. Um, I love the fact that Mr. Freeze is now a body horror character in this world.
Mm.
And also not a simp.
Well, listen,
Well,
we're
we-
only
we-
one
I guess
issue
we don't-
in.
we don't
We
know
don't
yet.
know. Yeah.
We don't know his mommy issues just
You know
yet.
where his girl's at?
Yeah.
She could be frozen too.
I think something that I sort of wondered is I wonder if what the big difference with this book is going to be is, and this is a fresh thought because I only just remembered I had it once we got the Victor Nora reveal, but I wonder how much of the reflection of Bruce's parents being alive versus like the rogue's parents being dead or incapacitated, or how much of this book is going to revolve around parents in some fashion going forward, as like a theme. um I wonder if that's something Scott is stretching toward there.
I definitely think there's something to that. I mean, going the direction of this being Victor Jr.,
Yeah.
which I think is great, but going that direction definitely made me think a lot about the fact that Bruce has a parent who's alive. So I feel like that's
The reason I had that thought is I remember now is that it's sort of it's almost a reflection of how the image where can you hold up the page where they Victor and Nora are frozen in the ice, sort of above Victor Jr., where we get that reveal. They're sort of positioned in that classic image of the painting above the fireplace in Wayne Manor.
Yeah.
In the same way that Bruce, sort of honors them, but obsesses over them at the same time, and they're always looking down on him.
It's almost like a Black Mirror, like a funhouse mirror version of the way that Bruce
Yeah.
honors his parents.
A
Yeah,
reflection in the ice.
yeah, totally. Paul, I thought this was a really strong issue.
Yeah, pull.
Oh,
Pick of the week for me, Marco. Jot that down.
Got you. I got you. I thought everyone was gonna pick pull on this one, and I thought everyone was gonna pick Ultimates. Honestly, I was hyped for that one.
Well,
Wrong.
yeah. Nice, Marco. Good job.
Yeah.
were all our picks different? Have you done yours yet, Sean?
No,
Whoa.
He's about to say Green Lantern though.
We still got Dark Patterns.
I said what I said.
see what the chat says about Absolute Batman. 63% say pull, 21% said pick of the week, 14% didn't buy or read, and pass is 1%. Oh boy, who's passing on this? The 1%.
Identify yourself. Yeah, the
That's
1%.
absolute
Yeah.
Joker.
JK Industries. That's just rubbing me the wrong way, dude.
I liked that. I thought that was so stupid. I enjoyed it.
It's the same Arc M. Like, come on.
I don't
That's
like
so
stuff
cool
like
to
that.
me. But the JK being reminded that it was owned by that, I was like, that's a little too on the nose.
What'd you think of the list of all the doctors' names? Like Isley,
But yeah,
Langstrom, Freeze, Strange. I was like,
That was
Doctor
cool.
Strange is in this. Oh, Hugo Strange. Okay.
Snyder cannot help himself. He loves to do cheesy shit like this. And I just roll my eyes and roll with it, but Arc M and JK and referencing all these other characters, like there are just too many characters being referenced and stuff. Like let's drill down. I don't want these amount of Easter eggs. I don't
Yep.
need it. I'm good.
Yep. MCU writing over here.
Yeah, like it's cool. Show those characters when you have something to say with them. But until then, leave that on the ice, so to speak. Um Lucas Hallner says Dennis Camp was shouted out in the credits. What part do you guys think he did or helped on? It's a good question. I don't know.
Which one do I think he did? The Masters Malone page.
Like you
I
think
have
he wrote it?
that page. Yeah.
Yeah, what do you know?
What if what if he had the idea, the script idea? Snyder was like, I'm having a real issue with like how could I make this dude die in the most violent way possible? And Dennis was like, I've got you. What if he explodes from his pores?
I feel like the bacteria is a very Dennis Camp weird niche thing that
Yeah.
they might be into. Like
I was thinking.
like how I think we found the bubonic plague in a glacier recently.
Yeah. Yep.
Like all of the
I know.
all the diseases we don't have anymore, they're in ice still, and we can get them back if we want to.
Or also
we
in
are.
labs.
Hey, whoa.
What are they doing to dogs?
Um
Oh, I get it.
Kurt Wildshed says part of what makes the art change so jarring might also be the more compressed storytelling. Dragotta does incredible dense pages, making every issue feel longer than it is.
Sure.
It's valid.
Yeah, that makes sense. And this page had so many like large panels. Like you get a splash page and stuff, but just that first page, it's bookended, or rather the second page, it's bookended by two just long, tall panels.
Roger Hernandez says, I know it's completely unrelated to what y'all are talking about, but I just finished the Rook Exodus trade. Good Lord, was it peak?
That's
Oh,
just
yeah.
good. That's good.
Those 6 issues amount to in my mind, the best of what Ghost Machine has done. The majority of that is due to Jason Fabek's art.
There's a deluxe hardcover of that coming out, right?
I don't know.
I think they announced that. That is appealing to me as a thought.
Roger, what are you reading next from Ghost Machine?
Joseph Wolf says, I feel like it's kind of cool world building. I always find it annoying when characters seem to not be in the universe, then suddenly appear and are a big deal. That's in reference to all the shout outs of various characters and stuff. Yeah, I mean, that's going to work for some of us and not others. That's cool. And C.W. Gordon says, this definitely feels like the most divisive Pals pulls in a while.
Was true.
Yeah, just wait till you guys see the screenshot. Lots of different colors.
Oh, you got it color coordinated?
Well, each one's color coordinated.
Okay. I don't know what your spreadsheets look like. I just look at the results.
I post them almost every week on the Discord.
I don't know.
In a continuous thread. If you want to keep up with what we like and the stats there, it's all in that.
It'll
it's in one of
influence me
the,
when we do pick of the month.
Yeah.
Well, we've got a couple more books we've got to review, so let's get to it. Batman Dark Patterns number 5. This is written by Dan Waters with art coming from Hayden Sherman, who has been doing incredible stuff. Triona Farrell on the colors, letters by Frank Vekovic. Now we have, reviewed every issue of this. This arc is focused on Scarface, one of my favorite Batman villains, and he has essentially taken over an apartment complex. He's become like the soul of the apartment complex. And so it's basically Batman versus a building. And not just the physical building, but the people that live in it as well, because Scarface has convinced them that he's got their back because, well, he kind of does. And so Batman is forced to fight through the building and the denizens of it. This was not only my pick of the week, this was one of the best comics I have ever read. And I am so happy about it. This was the first issue where I felt like the script and the art really came together synergistically. Because I haven't felt like Dan Waters' scripts in this book were all that. I thought like it was more like the vibes of what he was putting down, but the real draw was Hayden's artwork. But this issue, I thought the script was excellent. This is an amazing Batman. Dan Waters' version of Batman is one that I am really falling in love with because he's not perfect. He's not always serious. There are some fun beats and moments with him, even in this issue where you would think, "Wow, this is really heavy stuff." You can still get a panel like this where Batman is drinking some tea and says, "Yes, like the Wizard of Oz." I never thought I would see Batman say some shit like that, but he did.
Like
And
that moment.
what felt wild too was I expected something bad to happen,
Yeah,
but it just didn't, and that was weirdly refreshing, much like that tea must have been.
Granny's sweet tea. If you know, you know. Um,
Not sure I want to.
Hey, listen, I'm from the South. You want to?
I'm just saying it sounds like a video, but I haven't watched.
it's a reference to Batman vs Superman, and I will say no more.
Oh, that one. Okay, never mind.
That one. Um, I could really wax poetic about this book for a long time because I think everything about it was excellent. And I'm surprised by how much work they were able to get done in the standard page count. Batman scaling the walls of this building and getting garbage thrown at him by the people that lived. There's a panel where he just gets straight garbage thrown at him. I couldn't even believe that. I'm trying to pull it up now because I thought it was so funny.
He gets hit in the head with a fan, like a table fan.
Like what the fuck?
It was a lamp.
How awesome!
Yeah, it was a lamp. I just pulled it up. And he's scaling it. Yo, but the GCPD really blowing up his spot.
You're covering
Yeah.
your mic.
I mean, I agree with you. I thought it was a great issue.
Yeah.
A lot of circles this issue. For paneling.
I have a theory.
Go for it.
I'm wondering if you could lay all this out. I wonder if it's another big Scarface.
Whoa.
Somehow or another, like if it's each if it's each issue, or but I was like really trying to put it all together as I was reading it.
Oh, because it could be like a button if you take. Huh.
Wait, what?
Like if one of the circles is like a half circle and you could pair it up with another page, it makes another circle. That could be like a button for Scarface's shirt or something if you keep putting the pages next to each other.
Oh,
maybe. I guess I was thinking more like his face. But yeah,
okay.
Yeah, sure.
I was thinking even bigger, just a giant puzzle piece. Huh.
Interesting.
I like the theory, and it's totally possible. And if you want to start screenshotting your iPad or whatever, Cale, and go into Photoshop, have fun.
It's tempting.
I was thinking more, it's like, because the spotlight was a big thing that like showing, and also it reminds me of like echoes and like these, like the way sound moves and like circles. That's the way I was getting it, but you might be onto something, Cale.
I love when we're made to question whether or not the doll is real or not. Like
Just me and my
it's coming
childhood.
from well, because when we finally get to Wesker, and it's like, oh shit, it has powers, it's alive, and then it's somebody else, but you're like, but is that person being controlled? But then also, is everybody else getting controlled? I was like, oh damn, that's fun.
One of my favorite things about the Scarface character is that you really don't know. And I think Dan Waters is doing a great job of keeping that question at the center of this and not just giving us a straight up answer. Obviously, the fact that the building is being manipulated by a force kind of says, like, yeah, Scarface does have these powers, but what if the ventriloquist is just that nuts?
Mass delusion.
I think the question still remains, like, he could just be influencing these people in a building who are superstitious. The way sound travels in this building has made the residents of it superstitious, even before Wesker was there. So that just being an extension of their paranoia and superstition feeds into the is Scarface real story. And I think that's great. That's a great idea.
Even the last word balloon, just partly transforming. Who is it? It's good.
And to get back to the script for a second, the way this book goes from like absolutely disgusting, horrifying shit, like ventriloquist having his tongue cut out, to the last words in the book, we can't have no witnesses, Gaggy.
We can't have no witnesses, Gaggy.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly how it would sound. Like, that's just a funny little piece that Dan Waters is playing with to almost bring levity to what could otherwise be. This could just be a straight up horror story. This could be presented very straight as just horror, typical Batman fare, and it's not.
Because it's all of those things.
Right. Yeah, I would say this book is everything. It's bringing to the table everything that the Batman character can be.
Yep.
Pick of the week.
Scripture says, I said this last issue, but the pacing is phenomenal. Each issue effectively uses each panel in dialogue. It feels slow and methodical, but the story moves. 3-issue arcs for the win. I'm with that. Man, when Batman hits the 9th floor and he's trying to get to the 12th, and he just takes out these dudes and climbs the 3 floors. I was like, fuck yeah, dude.
Throws a gun at one of them.
Yeah.
So sick, man. Oh my, this is one of those books where I feel like you could go page by page, panel by panel, and just dissect it completely, like some of those other channels do. This would be a great issue to do that with.
Yep.
Oh man, Gatman and Robin.
Rogan. Catman.
Rogan.
Catman and Rogan.
How did I forget? Yes. So I was pick of the week. We all.
It's a pull for me. Easy.
All pull,
Solid pull.
all pull.
Yeah.
Easy, no question.
I was just so excited about Uncanny X-Men that I really wanted to give it to that this week.
Yeah, this would have been this is the runner up.
Yeah.
37% of the audience said pull. Didn't buy or read is 34%. Pick of the week 27%, and nobody passed. Those are really good numbers. I like that.
I would say if you're part of the did buy / read, if what's stopping you is the fact that it's not Batman proper, I would give it a shot anyway.
This is Batman proper. That's what it feels like.
It feels like Batman synthesized in like a pure form. I recommend it wholeheartedly. The previous arc and this one.
Sometimes people have trepidation with, like, oh, because I think what Tyler was saying was like, oh, it's not the core Batman series.
It's a mini series. It doesn't matter.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Throw that out the window.
We've said this, I think every review we've done this, but to me, this feels like the most like Batman the animated series. Hayden just said it too. But I think the format also feels like Batman the animated series. Is like there's not like it's just stories of Batman, and there's not necessarily a clear timeline. It's just Batman.
Yeah. Matt Cosmo says, how would y'all feel about 3-issue arcs becoming more standard than 5 to 6 in other books? Is that a better pace or good as it is?
If you have the story to tell in that time frame, if you have the story to tell in 3 issues, in 4 issues, in 5 issues, in 6 issues, tell your story. I don't think it's a case of this is gonna fit this mold and you will have success. Tom King is successful in his 12 issues, or 4 with Helen of Wyndham, right? Like, depends.
Alternatively, I would say that in a property like Batman, I'm glad there is a book that's just doing 3 issues.
Yeah.
Been thinking a lot about arcs lately, and I personally think that we've had 20 plus years of writing for the 6-issue trade, and we've seen how that works, and it's great and all that, but I definitely think it's stifling, and there needs to be more wiggle room. This will read great in a trade. It's broken up differently.
And I think what's interesting about this series is that it feels like you can do things a little differently and be a little bit more daring with the story. Where else are you in a Batman book are you gonna find Scarface is a building? Yeah. And I feel like some of the bigger characters, Spider-Man, could use something similar. A place where you can get, quick stories that are different and interesting. And you don't have to constantly pump out, life-altering things every issue, because it just, the stakes always have to be incredibly high and they can never lower.
I wish that Marvel would think a little bit differently about Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Because even the side Spider-Man books just feel like regular old Spider-Man books.
It's
Even when he's not in them.
it's all homogenous. They all feel the same.
Yeah.
By
I
design
I
on
I,
Marvel's end, for sure. But I think they're wrong.
I learned my lesson with Spider-Man a long time ago. I'm not buying side Spider-Man books because they always just feel like a shittier version of whatever's happening in mainline.
The only times it hasn't is when Chip's writing it, either Life Story or that horror book he
Oh,
wrote.
sure.
But like it's Chip also, it's gonna be a little different.
It's created at that point.
Yeah. Let's talk about Green Lantern Corps #3. This was the listener pick this week. This is the book that you guys voted on for us to read. So thank you to everybody who did cast their vote. Please do take the time to vote in these every week. You've got the whole week pretty much to get your vote in. We have the poll up right now, the new poll, and it goes up every Thursday at 5 p.m. Uh, we've got GI Joe #6, which the last issue of GI Joe was my favorite issue thus far. So that's been good. Zatanna #3, Superior Avengers #1. That's a One World Under Doom tie-in, and then we also have Assorted Crisis Events #2. That's the new Dennis Camp create our own series that lit everybody on fire. So some pretty good options there. Make sure you cast your vote and let us know what you want us to check out. All right, let's chat about Green Lantern Corps #3. This is Jeremy Adams and Morgan Hampton on the words, Fernando Passarin on the pencils, inks by Eau Claire Albert, colors by Rain Barreto and Arif Prianto, letters by Dave Sharp. Um, the first, arc of this book has involved the idea that the emotional spectrum is on the fritz, which is something that we've been seeing play out for a little bit throughout Jeremy Adams' run on the Core Flash book, but it has made its way over here, and so they're battling with the Red Lanterns. Uh, the Horus Horus appears in this book. Um, he's born out of a planet or something. That was absolutely insane.
Dude.
And frankly, this book was so close to being my pick of the week, but Batman Dark Patterns was on another level. I couldn't believe how good this was. This felt like
This
an event.
this feels a lot like Green Lantern Corps during Jeff Johns' run when it was Tomasi.
Mm.
I really enjoy this too, Sean. Like I read this and I'm like, oh, this feels of a time that I haven't read in Green Lantern in a while, but it's not mimicking what Jeff Johns and Tomasi did. It's more like
Yeah.
the vibe is the same. It's not Color Core that's having a war. Like there's a little bit of that, but it is different. Yeah, I read this pretty early on, and it was like, oh, is this gonna be my pick? It eventually wasn't, but it on any other week it could have been. Yeah.
This has been strong. I've been having so much fun with this. Adams is doing exceptional work. Since issue 1, I feel like the character interactions, the conversations that happen, I feel like I'm discovering new people constantly, and I love it. The horror bit was cool as hell, just being born, and then having the conversation with Hawkwoman, and we need to do XYZ to protect our people. Let me as a god guide you. Just these huge stellar concepts, and then they save the day at the end. That's it, clean. That's all I need. I need in, out, some stakes, and a good story.
Yeah, I really had a blast with this. I felt like the Red Lantern battery issue of it all was a little fuzzy and a little sort of timey-wimey for me. I didn't quite understand what they were saying happened between how the rage gets held in the Modoc guy, and then how they save the day there. And then with the Horus bit and the way Shiera kind of talks him down felt a little end of an episode of Justice League. You know, I'm the hero. Let me go sit, speak of how great you are and your mercy and blah, blah, blah. But it worked. Like, I felt like any more would necessitate more space. And I could tell that Adams just didn't have it. And that's not a critique. It's just, it's the end of this arc or whatever, the end of this section of the story. And I appreciated that time signaled an end to Shiera's time in the book. And I think as trite in a not pejorative way, that little speech was it got the message across and it did what it needed to do, and then it got out. And I thought that was really good. There's one face that John makes at the
I
end.
already got it. Is this it?
Nope, that sure isn't. It's when it's at the end when they're on their date or whatever. And he makes like a crinkle. Yeah, that one. He makes like a crinkled up SpongeBob realistic face. I couldn't get over. You muted yourself.
Oh, it's like one of those frames from Flapjack. If you ever watched that show too.
Yeah.
Oh, sure.
But I thought this was great. I had a great time with this.
Passerin is crushing. The art is phenomenal. There's detail everywhere. I don't know how long my guy works on these things, but that page where is it? The Red Lantern, the batteries blowing up, the blood everywhere, these huge pages with all these Red Lanterns dying. Man, so cool, phenomenal.
I love the Passerin art, and I've been a fan of his for a long time, but I got to show this face again, man, because this is gonna haunt my dreams.
Yeah, he looks like one of those guys that Janet Jackson took on stage, and he's
Oh my god!
What did somebody on Twitter recently this week said when Janet Jackson took miscellaneous unks on stage to have him shoot poison?
I don't know what any of that means.
Janet Jackson would take random men from the crowd, put them on a crucifix, and then grind on them, and they would be making that face like completely, and they'd be moaning into the mic. It's great stuff, but that's what it looks like.
That needs to be a emoji on Discord.
Go ahead, put my face in there. The one I called out too, Marco.
Yeah, these are some faces. But we just talked about arcs, and one of the things I think this book is doing really well is it's making each issue feel like a big deal unto itself. Horus isn't going to come back. That was a one-shot deal, but that was cool as hell. And this is the end of not necessarily this arc, because it feels like the whole emotional spectrum thing is the arc, and that's not ending anytime soon.
Yep.
It feels like mini arcs in a larger story, which is what I think I always prefer.
This situation is finished.
Right. Like this exact specific situation.
Yep.
And then next issue will introduce another situation.
Yep.
Clearly, but it's the same thing that's happening. So yep. I just love the way this is being presented. It's great stuff. Easy pull.
This is we've had a couple of people say this in the chat, and I think we've those of us that have read Green Lantern previously. This is the most fun I've had reading Green Lantern because
Yeah.
everybody's involved.
Everybody's involved and they're doing interesting things. It doesn't just feel like the same Jeff Johns stuff. It feels like every writer after Jeff is doing what Jeff was doing or
Yeah.
just doing something inferior. This is trying to do its own thing, but it's also really good. Feel
Yep.
lucky. Green Lantern fans were eating good, and hopefully this resurgence is leading to something big I mean, not that it matters, but something big in the movie space. Because I think that holding the Green Lantern character accountable for the sins of the past, that Ryan Reynolds movie, I don't think that's fair. Green Lantern is one of the best DC characters, should have been a factor in the Snyderverse, and has to be a factor in the Gunverse.
Don't worry, we're getting the Tom King show.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah. No, that could actually end up being really good.
It's True Detective inspired, right? That first season
Yeah.
is amazing. So yeah, I'm cautiously optimistic for it.
Dude,
Chandler,
Tyler,
man. Yeah.
you've watched that show, True Detective?
Oh, first season, one of my favorite seasons of TV of all time.
Did you see all of them or
I think I only watched the first two actually. I think the second two left a weird enough taste in my mouth that I was like, okay, I'm good. It was really based on the creatives doing it at the time that interested me
the third season with Mahershala Ali broke me in half?
in a good way, or
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. Oh my god.
I didn't finish it. I watched the first two episodes and I was like, I don't know, because each one changes so drastically. I feel like,
You mean from season to season?
yeah,
Or
It's
yeah,
it's
totally.
anthology seasons essentially. Yeah.
yeah.
Sorry for that random tangent. Anyway, the audience, 50% of you said pull, 43% said didn't buy or read, 4% said pass, and pick of the week was 2%. I feel like that pick of the week would be higher if this wasn't such a strong week for comics.
Mm.
I would have chosen it. Blazeman says, I've always wanted to see Green Lantern stand out within the mainstream, so hopefully the show and possible movies bring them into the spotlight. Yeah. And not just Hal and John, like I want more than that. I want to see Joe. I want to see Simon. I want to see Kyle.
I mean, we had 0 Green Lanterns in film, and now we're about to have 3 in one shot.
Oh yeah. True. True.
I think
That's right.
Guy Gardner got announced for the TV show now too, so that there will
Yep.
be direct crossover.
Yep.
Now, we did have friend of the show Gavin Guidry drawing an excellent issue of Action Comics. This was 1085. We're not going to do like a full-fledged review, but G. Willow Wilson and Gavin um, on the Superman Superstars bit, which they're still doing. Think the last one was John Ridley, and they're switching it up again. I jumped off for the John Ridley book. I just couldn't do it. But I had to come back because I think G. Willow Wilson is an amazing writer, and B. Gavin Guidry is a beast as well. Trish Mulville on the colors, Dave Sharp on the letters, and you know what? I thought this issue was fantastic.
I thought it was really good too. You know, we're not going to do a full review, but I wanted to point out one thing I thought Gavin did extremely well, and that's Clark Kent body language. It almost tricked me. Do you know what I mean? Like this Clark Kent, and credit to G. Willow Wilson too for putting him in situations that he has to be Clark Kent. But he has worse posture than me. He is slouched around. His hair is frazzled. This is such a good Ophi Clark Kent that when he switches over to like the Arctic Superman costume, it tricked me. It was like, those are different characters. That's not the same guy. And anytime an artist can do that in art, I'm like, You're doing it right. That is a Superman artist. So I just wanted to point that out. I thought that was great.
Well, let's do this real quick. Compare that top panel there, right, where he's all slouched over,
I thought it was me.
to the first, right, to the first time we see Superman, and look at how clear he's standing tall.
Oh, it's me.
I thought this was awesome. The Lois and Clark relationship in this issue is really cute. I wasn't sure if they were supposed to be together or not. Like I couldn't figure out when this takes place. Did you have a better handle on that, Tyler?
They're together.
Okay.
She like makes a brief wink and a nod. She mentions the Forces of Solitude, but she also mentions like, hey, if you need to, go have some alone time while you're there. So
Right.
they're definitely together. And this is actually what I was about to ask Gavin. He's in the chat. And he says, I got to design a new costume, and as soon as that was offered, I was all about it as a 90s action figure buying kid. That's what it felt like. It felt like one of those action figures you'd get for Batman Forever that's like Scuba Batman. And it's never in the movie, but it's a cool action figure. Yeah, I was into that. Arctic Superman is what it felt like.
And thank you for these cyborg polar bears. Just thank you. Cool as shit. I love it. Yeah, this was great. I think everybody should pick it up. If you've been not loving the Superman superstar stuff like me, I think this is a safe place to jump in. There's no real continuity to it. Like, do you know Lois and Clark? You're good to go. Easy buy.
Super continuity light by design. Just check it out. Yeah.
Yeah. Super fun. Gavin says they're married, but it's pretty nebulous about when it takes place. So yeah, and I think that's actually to the benefit of the series because everything that's going on with Superman and Lois right now in mainline continuity, with her having powers and everything, you can't tell stories like this with the version of Lois that we currently have. So I appreciated that it kind of harkens back to a more traditional time for Metropolis and the characters that we typically follow. Um, it just makes it very accessible. Good stuff. Real good. All right. We've been at it for a while, so we've got to get into one last bit, which of course is Sean Stack. This is a segment we do every week because I buy a lot of comics, and you guys are supposed to keep me honest, help me bring that number down. Um, I've been reading a lot of my backlog, and I am definitely feeling like I got to cut some books, and um, in a big way, in a big way.
You're realizing all those books you bought aren't really your cup of tea.
Yes.
Yeah.
Big time. Big time. There are some I've read some things recently that I just didn't care for.
You care to say? Like, what are you not jiving with?
Sorry.
What are you
Maybe
not? What are
you
you
don't
not
necessarily-
driving with? Yeah.
You don't necessarily have to go into detail, but
Yeah.
Yeah. What did I drop? Let me take a look. I'm trying to keep track of all
And
my
this-
books.
this will not affect the stack count. So
Yeah, we're just chatting.
It might affect
well,
future ones though.
I'll tell you one book I caught up with that I'm happy about, and that is Batman: The Long Halloween, Last Halloween.
Oh, good.
Oh.
Yeah, I stopped it. So cool.
Woo! I don't understand one Jeff Loeb to the next. I don't get it because one of the Jeff Loebs is delivering like incredible work in Long Halloween, and then the other Jeff Loeb is doing whatever the hell that was in Hush 2.
sure.
You could say the same for Hush and Long Halloween.
Sure, fair point. I don't understand it. I'm pretty lost on that. But to answer the question, as far as the books that I'm like, I'm not really loving it. Um, uh, West Coast Avengers, I finally caught up, and I'm like, I'm not sure if I actually love this the way that I thought I did. Um, Black Cloak is another one. That's the
Kelly
Kelly
Thompson.
Thompson book.
Wow.
Oh, yeah,
That has gone down.
yeah.
Mm.
To me, for me, yeah.
Mm.
There's some others. It's okay. I don't want to denigrate too many books, but um, yeah, I know that I need to bring things down to a level where everything I'm reading I'm happy with. So that's the goal. Marco, how was your trip to the LCS this week?
It was good. I got what else did I got? I got the that Superman book, and then I got oh, I neglected to bring it over, but one other trade I think for Jade because she's been trying to get into some other things. Um, so when you guys finish rattling some stuff off, I'll go grab it.
Okay. Um, who was it that asked? Somebody asked. Oh yeah, Near asked, "How's Batgirl?" I've heard great things and I've been wanting to get it. You know what, Near? I didn't want to say this, but that's actually one of the books I did drop.
Hmm.
And I didn't want to say it because I want people to keep buying that book. I think it is good that that version of Batgirl that Cassie has a title, and I think they're doing strong stuff with it. It's not for me anymore.
I'm really liking that book still. To be the other end of the spectrum there, Sean. I think it's a great mother-daughter story about a complicated relationship with a mother. It's your mother, but she's bad. But it's your mom. You know, you can't not care about her still. So I think there's a good story there.
Yeah.
Uh, I did end up getting that silent issue,
Oh, I have
the
it
Jinx
downloaded.
story.
I can't wait.
Oh,
Yeah,
sick.
I'm gonna read that tonight. And
Can you
uh,
open that up?
yeah, yeah. Don't spoil me, bro. I'm not looking at the camera, okay?
Yeah, bust that open for us.
Oh, sick.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I like that.
When I was looking at preview images for Pal's previews, which comes out every Monday, if you guys want to check that out. I was like, oh yeah, I'm picking this up. This is what I want. Yeah.
And I was trying to get many deaths, but ended up getting rare flavors.
Cool.
Nice.
Is that
I
it's a
haven't read
soft cover?
I haven't read this one, so like I hadn't finished.
Can you make
Rare
one of the
flavors is
recipes in
good.
it?
She wants to try actually.
Yeah. I want to see someone do it. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't have a good LCS story this week. It was a pretty standard experience for me. So why don't we just get into the numbers?
All right, boys. We are starting strong this week with James Jones, perennial winner, calling his shot like Babe Ruth. Perennial winner James Jones says 17 for Sean Stack. He was the first in. So the bar is set. Near, not too far away, 14 for the stack. Dan Trudeau says 16. Hayden's Hideout says 18. Rami Darwish says 15. C.W. Gordon says 18. Scripture says 14. MD Johnny says 13. Steve Kinnair says 19. Gavin himself says 19. Juan Ramirez says 19. Luna, coming from the moon, down to say 15. Cole says 13. Blazeman says 16. And Mike Hank, you're not going to believe this, 15.
Awesome. Awesome. Um, well, we've got the 6 that we reviewed for the show, and then of course you guys know Action Comics. So we've got Aquaman number 4. I did get it, yes, Vatican City number 1. I
Nice.
couldn't resist.
You read
Could
it?
not resist. No, I haven't had the chance yet. Batman and Robin number 20. I said on Pal's previews that I was kind of down on this book. Um, I still feel that way, but I want to close the arc out and see how I feel ultimately. Geiger number 13. The Moon is Following Us number 8. This is one of the best comics on the stands, and I feel like people just aren't paying attention to it. It's so good. So good. But
sorry, that was The Moon is Following Us?
yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
And you weren't
it
constant.
does have a twist in issue 7 that will make people uncomfortable. I'm not gonna say what it is, but yeah, it won't be for everybody. The Incredible Hulk number 24. Storm, number 7, and JSA, number 6, because I missed it last week.
Is that it?
That's all.
Holy cow, that's 13. Whoa.
So you were surprised in the opposite direction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's MD Johnny.
Hey,
Got it this week. Congrats on the no prize. Cole also said it. Yeah, MD Johnny and Cole.
nice. You guys can hit me up for any of the codes for the Marvel books that I bought this week. And sorry, Lucas Holner, I got to get you your code, dude. So I'm backed up on that, but I'll get you your code. And whoever else, if you guys want to reach out for any of these DC codes, just hit me up on the Discord, and I will make it happen for you. Um, Cole said, Sean, the new Batman Robin issue is incredible. Thank you. I'll check it out soon and let you know what I thought of it. Hayden's Hideout said, Cale, did you read Adventure Time yet? If so, what are your quick thoughts?
I have not, but I will read it tomorrow. If you're in the Discord, you will see my thoughts there.
MTG, have you guys been reading Space Ghost? It's good to be back in the live with y'all. It's been a minute. Well, happy to have you here, MTG. Tyler, have you been reading Space Ghost?
I have not been. No, my Space Ghost is Coast to Coast, which is not being. There's no comic about that. I'd kill for it. Let me know if they do an arc. I recognize it's good, and I know a lot of people like it, but it's just not my jam.
Yeah, I dropped it. Um, I thought the first few issues were good, but it's just one of those things that with the IP books where I run into a point where I'm like, all right, my nostalgia button's been pressed. I'm good now.
That's the rub I have with the first issue with a lot of these things is like, why are we doing this?
Almost no matter how good it is. Like,
Yep. Yep.
yeah. I forget which one of us. It was one of you guys that said like it's got to be transformative. Um that makes sense.
It's got to do something. It's got like it has to be doing something or saying something. Not not necessarily groundbreaking, but it's got like, why are we looking at a Johnny Quest comic in 2025? And I think I like the Johnny Quest. I can't remember.
That was the
It
best
was
one. Well, other than
old man
Powerpuff
Johnny
Girls,
Quest. Yeah.
yeah, that was cool.
Well, don't worry, we have Herculoids and Captain Planet coming up. Wacky Races delayed. Glad didn't win the poll then. So you'll get plenty of them. Maybe one of them will be transformative.
Doubt it.
Yeah, I'm
Don't
kind
believe
of
so.
They haven't been so far.
I thought Johnny Quest was pretty different.
I
Like,
I just threw that one out there. I genuinely like I half remember that book. So
And Dan Trudeau says what Mark Russell did with the Flintstones. I think all of those Hanna-Barbera books were transformative, and that's why I liked a majority of those DC Hanna-Barbera books. Except I didn't like Scooby-Doo.
Oh, Apocalypse?
Yeah, it wasn't my thing.
That was my jam. I
yeah,
love that shit.
I didn't like the Flintstones.
You're bugging.
See, and I don't think it necessarily has to be that deep, but I just think like, we should be doing something to make this relevant.
yeah, Flintstones was cool. That was all right. Hayden's Hideout says you didn't get the Vampirella #1 cosplay variant. I did not, dude. I didn't spin the block for that. Like, realistically, I'd be insane to spend another X amount on Vampirella. Like, what's wrong with me?
He ain't a true gooner like you, Hayden.
No. Arjun says, "Wait, Sean, are you going to be on your mint condition Saturday?" No, I don't know anything about what they're doing on Saturday. I'm always right here on Saturday mornings. That's the only place you're ever going to find me.
You better hope not.
Yeah,
The only time you don't see Sean here on Saturdays is because we're at New York Comic Con.
pretty much.
And you can see him in person if you're there.
I prioritize you guys over literally everything else, so I will be right here. And I will be right here on Saturday at 10:15 a.m. Eastern with the rest of my boys to talk about everything going on in comics this week. There's been some news and noise. regarding the selling of Diamond and the disaster that has turned out to be. So we'll be talking about that and a whole bunch of other stuff here on the channel. Thank you for being with us. Thank you for keeping us at over 100 viewers almost the entire stream. That's a beautiful thing. Hit the like button on your way out. Subscribe if you're not. We're very close to 5K, and it would be really cool to get that done sometime soon. So thank you guys for the support, and hopefully you hang out with us on Saturday. Until then, take care.